Super important video today. So important that I'm tempted to not make videos for the next week and just let this one sit as the front of my channel because it's so much more important than my usual. I mean, every day I'm trying to talk about something that matters, but this one really, really matters. Of course, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep making daily videos, but that's how important this is. So without maybe pumping up any further, let's get right to it. 5 things that you need in life to be happy. 5 things. Now, none of these are going to be something as direct as like cash. And partly because if you have cash, but you don't have these, you're not happy. Doesn't matter how many Lamborghinis you have, doesn't matter if you live in a mansion, doesn't matter what degrees you do or don't have. If you don't have these, you're not happy. So let's get to them. First two are going to be pretty obvious. First one of them is people. And obviously I mean like good, supportive people, right? If the 5 or 6 people you interact with every single day don't believe in you, don't trust you, are rude to you, or awful to you, are just crummy racists, whatever those people might be, you got to find some way to replace those people. And I say replace because you still need people, right? You can't just get rid of the bad people. You got to replace them with finding people who are a better fit for you. And that takes work. That takes discomfort. It's uncomfortable and scary, but people, obviously, you need good people in your life. Don't have good people, doesn't matter what else is going right for you. It's going to wear you down, and vice versa. Good people can go a lot in your world. Second part of this, right? You need physical health, and this is something that just is what it is. And it doesn't mean you got to be like built like a tank. It doesn't mean you got to be spending every single day out there throwing weights around. What it means is that you're paying attention to even things like ergonomics. Like, are you sitting and leaning and slouching? Are you, position your desk and your keyboard correctly? These little things can add up as to whether or not you're going to have long-term pain later. These things about, obviously, and to a degree, there's one of these things, like I say, money's not everything, but if you do have money, it can make a little bit of difference. Can you do some sort of preventive oral surgery? Can you do some sort of preventive care to your body, etc.? But, physical health is just its own thing. And a little bit of exercise certainly helps. Eating better, certainly a factor in this. But it's one of these things that it doesn't matter how well someone's doing career-wise, financially, in reputation, in fame, whatever. If they don't have their physical health with them, they're hurting from it, right? There's the old Jim Rohn line, if you can't pay someone else to do your push-ups for you. There's no shortcuts to that. You got to take care of your health. So that's the first 2. People, good people, and health. Next 3 are a little less obvious. Those are the ones we want to focus on today. And the first of those is that you want to be able to be getting better at something, right? And that's exactly what it sounds like. You want to have something in your life you're getting better at. If you don't have something in your life you're getting better at, you're going to feel like you plateau. It's one of those reasons why people who seem like they're at the top still go out of their way to take tennis lessons, even if they're no good at tennis. Why they start taking dance or art or other things, because they need that struggle in their lives, right? That's where those hobbies sort of come from, is to make sure they're doing something where they feel like they're improving, because maybe they feel like they've already reached the top of whatever else they're doing in their career. Now, for a lot of us, the thing we're improving at might be our career track, might be our school skills, but that's still an outlet where we're improving at it. And what ends up happening, of course, is that after some sort of threshold, it's no longer challenging us in the way it used to. And so that's where, we want to make sure we are improving at something. Now, people I work with, obviously, a lot of them improving at coding, improving at digital art, improving at teamwork, improving at leadership, all these other kind of things. You want to make sure you're finding some sort of curve you haven't felt like you've already passed some sort of mastery threshold on and are still pushing at improving at it. Next thing, so we got good people, we got physical health, we got getting better at something. You also need something that helps you learn about yourself. And this one might not be, again, not as obvious. But this is one of these things that's very, very personal, that there's no universal answer to. There's nothing you can buy off of a shelf, nothing you can buy from a factory, nothing you can own that's really going to help you know about yourself. This sort of thing comes from reflection, comes from exploratory art, comes from producing things, comes from writing stories, comes from building things. And this is also part of why, look at why universities charge so much. It's because of this one and the last one, right? It's because it's a way to have something you're improving at and to learn about yourself. It's positioned to something where you're, in exchange for those enormous fees or debt people are incurring, making sure you're trying to learn something about yourself. And like I say, doesn't matter how much physical property someone has, how much private property they have, how much fame, reputation, position in a company they have. If they're not learning about themselves, they're going to feel that hole in their life. And this is just something that it's also a difference between you're doing work commercially or non-commercially. I've got friends who they've been making games, doing art, whatever it is, something only for pay. They never do it for themselves. They've never done it for just an introspective kind of act to find out about what's inside them. And what that means is that they're only building what the client wants. They're only building what the manager or boss asks them for. And so consequently, they're not learning about themselves. And they feel this gap. And that gap is that you to learn about yourself, you got to be steering your work. You got to be having say over what you're doing. This is why even if your day job involves something, it doesn't replace doing some version of it, maybe in your own time. If it's a chance to kind of explore and get to feeling, finding your voice, getting to understand your interests, your needs, where you're at, where you're headed. It comes from learning about yourself. We got good people. We got physical health. We got getting better at something. We got learning about yourself. And the fifth one is meaningful contribution. A sense that what you're doing matters, right? And what you're doing may matter, but if you don't have that sense, it's going to hurt. Or heck, maybe what you're doing doesn't matter, but if you have the sense it matters, then it's going to help out a lot. I mean, this is something that I remember, can't remember which book this was from long ago. I'm hesitant to guess, I'm going to get it wrong. But it was a story about these people who worked on 18-wheeler engines, which obviously enormously complicated, physically demanding task, intellectually demanding. I mean, it's a complicated bit of machinery to get right. And the people who were working on them felt this disconnect to their work, and it was showing in their happiness levels and their morale and their attitudes. And so part of what the company did to help pivot and improve upon that was really helping draw these connections to how 18-wheelers are improving people's lives, are lowering cost of distribution, are making goods more affordable for people, are helping get medical supplies from one place to another, or again, life-saving things happen because those engines are reliably built. And just these little connections we can make to how we're doing as a meaningful contribution goes a long way. Now, one of the easiest ways to make sure what you're doing feels like a meaningful contribution is if you can make sure you're getting these other 4 things into other people's lives, right? Again, going back through them, talking about people, good people. If you're getting good people into people's lives, feels like a positive contribution. If you're helping people with their physical health, obviously, positive contribution. Again, that might be direct in terms of helping to improve people's experience with the gym, helping people eat better, helping people sleep better, do better self-care, all meaningful contribution. In the realm of helping people get better at something. Something I find really, really rewarding and have pivoted my entire life around is trying to help people get better at something, because to me it feels like a really rewarding contribution to the world around me to help people have that in their lives. Another part of that, right, is finding out about themselves, helping people find out about themselves. It's a lot of what we do with our friends, right, is we let each other just follow our thoughts, just get it off our chest, just talk through, just try stuff, and just see where those thoughts lead in a way that, you know, it's part of the joy and meaning we get out of that is listening, is letting someone else learn about themselves by talking to us. And so, you know, meaningful contribution come through all these other things. Now, in my world, and obviously part of why I have this explanation why I've built my things the way I have, is for me, GAM Keto Club is basically maybe all these but health, right? I mean, health, again, is its own thing. You got to take care of yourself, got to eat better. If you can fit a regular exercise, if you can do some good self-care. Maybe notwithstanding that we're kind of anti-crunch. Like, we don't want people to be ruining their health over this stuff. We want it to be sustainable. So you can still be making games in 20 years. But we look at the other things, right? We look at good people. We bring them together. We filter out bad people. We do our best to make sure that we're a very supportive, low-pressure community. We look at, like, say, health. We're kind of an anti-crunch kind of group. It's part of why we do things the way we do is we don't want to be... Like, jams, they're a certain useful thing for certain people at a certain phase of their life. But not everyone's at a phase in their life where they can put everything on hold for 48 hours, right? And then just, I don't know, like not sleep. Like that's really destructive. That's sort of like glorifying crunch. We're the opposite of that. We spread our projects out. It gets done on schedule, but we sort of 1 week at a time, make sure things stay on track. It's kind of a more mature, disciplined approach to it. In terms of making sure that we are getting better at something, again, like this is one of these things where if someone's in a workforce, they only get to do the thing that they are assigned to do, that they are trained to do, that they're already able to do, so they don't feel that same steep learning curve. Whereas in the club projects, anybody who wants to can do anything. We have people who are making their first models, making their first sound effects, composing their first music, writing their first game code, doing their first level design, leading their first teams, their first management experience, right? These are things that come from the freedom that when it's a non-commercial project, you can just practice stuff. And that results in a lot of learning about ourselves from seeing what isn't working for us and how we behave, how we think, how we feel about stuff. So, you know, we got that one. We got the learning about yourself. And then we got collaboration in terms of making sure that you are like contributing meaningfully to others. And this is something where I think some people don't see this from the outside, that when someone's new to Gamketo Club and they're getting a lot of benefit from more experienced members helping them out, leading projects they get to participate on, answering their questions. As they build up that experience in our group, they're passing that on, paying that forward to others in terms of their leading projects that allow them to explore their thoughts, explore their feelings, explore their expressions of what we've always had all our lives in our minds about games, without the concern about the market context, without even trying to figure out, is this for the client, is it for the boss, is this for the manager? We build what we want to build. It lets us sort of explore those thoughts. People on the project do their parts the way they want to do them. And what's happening a lot of there is really, again, this sort of giving back mentality of someone who's been with the group for a while is able to lead it so they can create projects and opportunities for others in the group to practice. And that's where all of our games have come from. So anyway, that's been my answer to it. But obviously, no matter where you find these answers, I hope you find these 5 things in your life. Good people, taking care of your health, especially long term, getting better at something, learning about yourself, and meaningful contribution or meaningful work. That's all there is for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have another video for y'all tomorrow.